BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an gestural implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
10 years from today, Lisa Schneider will trade in her office job to become the leader of a pack of dogs. As the owner of her own dog rescue, that is. A second act made possible by the reskilling courses Lisa's taking now with AARP to help make sure her income lives as long as she does. And she can finally run with the big dogs. And the small dogs, who just think they're big dogs. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Learn more at aarp.org/skills.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. Now your host, Ace.
Welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. This week it is just Ace. I'm going to be reviewing the games for y'all this week. Last week was actually pretty good, but I wasn't able to get those picks out to you guys. I hope y'all were able to go with the obvious ones, as we saw a lot of the teams come through for us, especially my Bears and Washington. The only team that I really was heavy on last week that didn't really come through was the Detroit Lions, and I was genuinely kind of shocked by that. Had a lot of penalties in that game. The Bears pulled off a miracle, but Detroit wasn't able to do the same to keep their playoff hopes alive, which are now hanging on by a thread. They need to win out, and they need Green Bay to lose out, which is possible, but Green Bay is a pretty favorable matchup this week, even though they're playing on a short week and their quarterback is concussed. He still has yet to clear the concussion protocol in Jordan Love. And Kansas City lost another quarterback, and they are playing Denver this week. I'm jumping around a little bit to start the show, but I just wanted to say thank you to all the listeners this year. And I appreciate everybody who's been following us the past couple of years here. And all the review shows that we've been doing, and I appreciate y'all following us on YouTube and all the clips and everything like that. Thank you guys, and thank y'all for keeping us relevant here and everybody listening to us. I try to bring a little bit more energy, but it is Christmas week, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully y'all are listening to this before you get to the Thursday games, which there are 3 of, which I'm not a huge fan of, and these games are turning out to be pretty trash outside of maybe Detroit, Minnesota, which could be interesting on Netflix, but that Dallas-Washington game, 2 teams both eliminated for the playoffs. Washington's getting 6.5. The over-under is 51. I mean, what I would really do here is just take a prop bet on George Pickens catching a couple of deep passes, which he's usually good for. It's something that, he's done pretty consistently. And Dak Prescott usually hits him for, a deep pass here or there, but it's just been kind of surprising that they just haven't been able to get it done. And Dallas is one of the teams that's hit the over 10 times this season. Out of the 15 games they've played, they tend to put up a lot of points, and their defense isn't great. And Washington is 8-7 on over-unders, hitting the over last week against the Giants statistically. So that's something you probably want to pay attention to. I am picking Washington this week just because they're getting 6.5 points and they're at home. Not much of a time zone difference here, and the Thursday game means they're on a shorter week, and both teams played on Sunday, so not much of an advantage for anybody except for Washington, who hasn't had to travel. Dallas's run game is not really doing much, and I think that's been the biggest difference this year for them. That and the fact that their defense just does not have the level of rush they've needed all season. They haven't been able to close out games. Their passing game is really, really good. Pickens and Lamb have been exceeding the number of yards they need to get on those prop bets, so that's something that you can lean on if you really want to go that route. Next, the 4:30 game, we got Detroit playing for a playoff spot just to keep their hopes alive. Detroit at Minnesota. Detroit is -6.5. I am going to lock in the Detroit Lions. The over-under on this game is 44.5. I'm going to take the over. Detroit's defense hasn't really been executing at a high level. They have one amazing pass rusher in Hutch. Minnesota has an entire team of guys who are just that scheme that he runs, their DC, former head coach of the Brian Flores, former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Very effective in getting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Detroit just wasn't able to come last week at home, but this is a dome game, so Jared Goff should be excellent in this one. You can bet him on more than 250 passing yards and 2 TDs. He's pretty consistent on that, and they dropped that game to Minnesota before at home, and I do not see that happening again this time. Minnesota doesn't really have much to play for, and J.J. McCarthy is dealing with an injury. So it may even be possible that Max Brosmer comes and plays again. We will see. They want to get the kid as many reps as possible for the year so he can finish on a positive note. But I'm leaning towards the Lions to be able to win this one by a touchdown, especially if they're going to win by one TD. If they can win by 7, they're going to take it. I don't know if there's going to be an upset pick, but I don't know if Kansas City is going to reach out and get their former QB that they won back-to-back Super Bowls with as a backup who came in the AFC title game when they needed him to. But right now, Chris Oladokun from South Dakota State, who I have never heard of, is their only healthy quarterback on the roster. Maybe they're going to sign another emergency guy and bring somebody over to the practice squad. I am not sure, but if Andy Reid can make it happen, he will. We will see. Denver is minus 13.5. I'm going to take Kansas City on that, just on the strength of the fact that most of those games that have been over double digits have not covered. Speaking of which, Cleveland last week covered against the spread against Houston, a team that everybody thought that they should destroy them. Denver's really banged up on the defensive line, and Derek Stingley Jr. is hurt. So having to go from Denver and playing at Kansas City, same time zone, well, different time zone, Mountain to Central, but Kansas City still has a bit of pride, and they're not just going to want to get crushed in this one. The over-under is very low at 36. The over is the safest bet to me. Regardless of what happens, I think more points are going to be scored than 36. They're going to be at least 3 touchdowns per side. So I would take the over on that one. That seems to be the safest. Houston at the LA Chargers. Houston got by the Raiders last week, 21-23, taking an easy one off. Kind of shocking because everybody thought that they were going to crush them. They weren't able to. This is not a team that is particularly focused right now. Their pass rushers are still very healthy, but their offense isn't exactly clicking. They make enough plays to get it done, but giving up 13.5 points at Kansas City, it's going to be a snowy Christmas for them. They're going to be playing late at night at 8:15. Expect it to be cold. Kansas City doesn't have much of a run game. I don't think they're going to have to have one. Travis Kelce, expect them to have a bigger game. Rashee Rice is hurt as well. That is going to affect them, but they still have a few guys left there at wide receiver, and even though they are thin, their offensive tackles are hurt, but they do still have some pride. They get paid too, and Denver's already linked to a playoff spot, so expect them to rest guys that, they don't feel are definitely necessary to get this dub. Whether they win this by a touchdown or whether they win this by 6 points, just winning it is good enough for them to lock up the number 1 seed overall. Considering how hurt Kansas City is, and on the defensive line, they still have an All-Pro there in the middle for Kansas City. The Saturday games, I keep forgetting that they're Saturday games, but after the second week in December, they start encroaching on college football territory with all these bowl games. Houston at the Chargers. I skipped over Denver. Houston at the Chargers. I'm going to be taking the Chargers because they are at home. They're giving their veteran players rest in Keenan Allen and Khalil Mack. They have a really good pass rush with this team. They've been able to figure it out all year. And these are two teams that play a very similar style of football. I just believe that the Chargers have a much more effective running game and a quarterback who's been performing at a higher level over the past month of the season. In December and since Thanksgiving. Yeah. Justin Herbert has been playing at a much higher level. has been playing at a much higher level than C.J. Stroud. Unsurprisingly to me, Stroud has struggled throughout the season, although he picked us to play up and has Houston with a possible chance to win their division or even sneak into the playoffs. This game would be key here. It's -2.5 for the Chargers, but I'm leaning towards the Chargers because they are the home team. Baltimore at Green Bay, the night game on Saturday. Still don't know if Jordan Love is going to clear concussion protocol. Still unsure about that. Baltimore has a lot of injured players on the secondary. Kyle Hamilton practiced. Lamar Jackson practiced, even though he had to leave the game last week. They still have the advantage with the running back. The Bears were able to stop the run. They seem to be a much improved linebacking unit and defensive line. The Baltimore Ravens have all of their linebackers healthy. Roquan Smith is back healthy. That should help them. Tucker Kraft is hurt. So, and also they lost another wide receiver last week against the Chicago game. They may be a bit demoralized, but they do realize they need to win this game, or they're going to have to win the last game of the season against Detroit, which is not something that they really want to have to do. So I'm going to be taking Baltimore here on the money line, being as they're +125 and they're getting 2.5 points. The over-under here is 40. Take Baltimore to win this one in the ugly one. And I'm going to go towards the under. This might be the lowest scoring game of the week, if not for Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh is going to be without DK Metcalf. Cleveland is going to have their full complement of receivers, and it appears they have the offense clicking under Shedeur Sanders, who's actually been performing really well over the past couple of weeks. Cleveland's offense is getting better. Quinshon Judkins broke his leg. Luckily, he does not have any ligament damage. I do not believe. That might be updated. I am not an injury report kind of guy unless I know. I know he's not going to play, so that's going to affect the line, which is why it's Cleveland's +4 now, I believe, 4.5. But I think Cleveland can actually win this game. And I'm very sure that Myles Garrett wants to get that record at home for most sacks in the season. He's currently at 22 or 22.5 or 21.5. Believe he's like, if he gets one more sack this week or two more sacks this week against Pittsburgh, he'll get the record, and doing it on Aaron Rodgers and being able to affect Pittsburgh, that would be great. If Pittsburgh loses this game and Baltimore wins, and would come down to next week when Baltimore plays Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, I believe. That would make for a very exciting Week 18. That'll probably get flexed into Sunday Night Football, which we can all expect to happen. We just need Baltimore and Cleveland to do their job this week, and we get a little bit more exciting football. And this over-under is the lowest of the week at 34. If this game goes bad and Cleveland actually wins, I expect this to go over. If Pittsburgh wins this game, I would expect this to go under, and Cleveland's offense doesn't do much. Jalen Ramsey has been very effective for Pittsburgh over the past couple of games, except against Chicago. Cleveland's wide receivers and Shedeur haven't been super duper effective, but they've been good enough, and he's been able to lead them on enough opening drives to get some TDs. They can get enough pressure on Rodgers, they can make it happen. And with Myles Garrett, anything is possible for them to ruin Pittsburgh's week. Next 1 p.m. game, Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Surprisingly, the 44-year-old guy is not embarrassing himself. Played really well on Monday night, played really well the first week he came back after 5 years. He's probably lost about 15 pounds in the past 2 weeks, just through playing and working out and getting back in shape. As crazy as it sounds, Phillip Rivers has probably strengthened his case for the Hall of Fame. I never thought he was a Hall of Famer. Thought he was a Hall of Very Good, but much like Eli Manning, but maybe this will improve it. His chances of actually getting into the Hall of Fame, which will be eligible for in another 5 years. So he delayed himself getting in, but we will see. Jacksonville is laying 6.5 to Indianapolis at Indy. Indianapolis just hasn't been able to run the ball. Jacksonville's been just clicking on offense. Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacoby Myers was one of their big trades. That was very big for them, very effective. I think Indianapolis is going to cover. They're getting 6.5. They'll probably get up to 7. So I would expect them to cover, and I would take the over. After that San Francisco game, Indianapolis is going to be at home, and the offense knows what they're doing. If they can just get Jonathan Taylor going, they might actually be able to steal this one and make it interesting. I do not know if they can still make it to the playoffs. They are 8-8. They can still finish with a winning record. And it's probably something that they would at least like to go out on a high note with, even if they can't make the playoffs after losing Daniel Jones to that Achilles a couple of weeks ago. Maybe Riley Leonard be able to learn something from the old guy, Phillip Rivers, and learning the offense and learning how to run it and seeing how it's done and learning how to prepare. But I'm going to be locking in Indianapolis with that +7, and I'm going to be locking in Cleveland with that +4.5, the two previous games I just picked. Next up, we have Tampa at Miami. Miami is +5.5. Quinn Ewers' first start was last week. He did not look dreadful, but he did not look good either. Miami ended up losing that one by about 2 touchdowns. Tampa really needs this one to even have an opportunity to win the division. Tampa's -5.5 in this one. I'm going to lean towards Tampa winning this one by a touchdown. Both of these teams are in the same state, same kind of weather. They're playing this one down in Miami, so it should be nice and sunny down there for them. At worst, it'll be a 65-degree day, maybe 58. But even still, it's Miami, so in the subtropical climate in the country, very, very warm for them, so I don't think weather's going to affect it. Tampa Bay is getting healthier, and their quarterback knows what he's doing. And Baker Mayfield. They can just keep him clean. They should be able to get it done. Miami's not really playing for much except for ruining Tampa's future, which I don't know if they'll have much invested in that. New England at the New Jersey Jets. The New Jersey Jets are getting 13.5 points. Ant was right to pick against them last week, or week 15. I was wrong to pick them. New England Patriots are laying 13.5, which means they got to beat them by 2 touchdowns. I think New England's not going to let up. If they can get this win, they should be able to win that division after dropping that game to the Bills, which really kind of shocked me because I had them winning that one back in week 15. I think they win this game, but I do not believe that they cover. The Jets have a lot of pride, and they're going to want to try to win this game. Breece Hall is active. And I think New England's just going to let up a bit, and they're a bit banged up as well. Drake May has been really effective all year, and I think he's going to let up a little bit playing in the Meadowlands. And I think the weather might slow this game down. The over-under is 43.5. It's currently snowing in the New York, New Jersey area. Or in the New Jersey area, I should say, where this game is going to be played, so we will see. But I am definitely going to take the Jets, and I'm going to lock that in. My third lock of the week. I'll revisit those at the end just so everybody knows what my best bet is. All right.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radio pain. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
Next up, we have New Orleans at Tennessee. Tennessee is getting 2.5 points at home. Came through last week with a dub. Bit surprising, but not as much as I was disappointed in the Chiefs. They kind of beat them down, and I know Tennessee wants to win as many games as possible, even though you can't really tank in football. They'd like another high draft pick. And even after winning this game, they'll still probably have one in the top 5 or top 7. So they'll be able to get a few more weapons around Cam Ward. Maybe an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a running back. I don't know which way they'll go, but probably definitely not a running back. Maybe a all-star defensive player. Who knows? Maybe Caleb Downs, even. They could use some safety help. I'm going to take Tennessee here because I just don't have that much faith in New Orleans playing outside on the road. They've been atrocious away from home, even though they won. They challenged last week to probably win the game. I believe they were definitely playing at home, but I forgot who it was at the moment. Wasn't really following that one too much on the red zone. They were at home against the Jets. That's where they were able to pull that off. I think the Saints, every single Saints win has come at home the entire season. beat the Giants at home, beat Carolina on the road. Yep. Beat Tampa on the road, beat Carolina again, beat the Jets, and they're ending the season with Tennessee and Atlanta away. Atlanta's a dome team, so weather won't affect that, and that is a rivalry game. So when we get to week 8, that'll make it pretty interesting. It always surprises me how much New Orleans and Atlanta don't rock with each other, especially about the pro football. I find that kind of funny, but I do love that for y'all down there. Down there. Yeah. Give me Tennessee getting those 2.5 points. This is going to be a game I'm definitely going to be checking in on throughout the day on Sunday. Hopefully y'all will get some time to chill out with y'all families and celebrate and open up your gifts and play with your kids and drink some eggnog and all that good stuff. A little bit of rum in there for you. Seattle at Carolina. Carolina's getting 7 points at home, possibly even 7.5. Big win last week against Tampa. They're leading the division. I am leaning on Carolina this week, getting that 7 points. Go ahead and pick Tampa. Go ahead and pick Carolina there. I think Seattle having possibly locked up the number 1 seed in the NFC is going to basically lean on the fact that all they're going to have to do is win the week 18 and they'll have the number 1 seed and they'll have an extra week off. The quarterback play has been very inconsistent and Carolina's been very opportunistic at home. I don't know what it is, but this team has just turned it around in 1 season and I expect them to be in the playoffs. I did not pick them to win it. I did not pick them to be the worst. I actually had New Orleans as the worst, which was accurate, but I had Tampa Bay running away with it, but Atlanta was my dark horse, and they kind of let me down, but we will see as Carolina goes through. Arizona at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is -7. Arizona's been pretty atrocious away from home. I am taking Cincinnati to cover. Cincinnati should crush them. The over-under one for this is 53. The over is going to be a solid bet, so take Cincinnati in this one if you want to win some cash. Giants at Vegas. Take the Las Vegas Raiders, -1.5. -120 on the money line, +100 for the Giants. The Giants aren't going to get it done this week. The over-under is 42.5. Go ahead and take the Giants. Knock this one out the park. Go ahead and take the Vegas Raiders. They've got a running game. Tyrone Tracy hasn't really been performing much, and they also have a better defender. Abdul Carter hasn't lived up to the hype this season. I don't know what is going on, but maybe with an interim head coach, the players aren't really that motivated. Outside of Jackson Dart, the offense appeared to have fallen apart last week under Mike Kafka. I expect more of the same, and those players will probably be partying, being as they're going to be having to travel to Vegas after a holiday week. They'll probably have their regular work, but I do know that they will have Thursday off. I can't imagine I'm going to have them practice on Christmas. Philadelphia at Buffalo. Second 4 o'clock game, main game on Fox. Only 2 games in the 4 p.m. window this week because of all of the Saturday and Thursday games. Pretty much game of the week. Philadelphia is getting 2.5 points in Buffalo. It's going to be very cold, very snowy. The over-under is 43.5. Both teams have a really good run game. Josh Allen is playing with a foot injury. Philadelphia locked up their division last week. They can climb up and possibly get up to the 2 seed in the division winners. If Chicago ends up winning the division by winning this game and Green Bay losing, they can catch Chicago because Chicago will likely rest all their starters in the final week because there's no advantage to winning the 2 seed anymore outside of the home field in the first and second round. Outside of going to the NFC Championship game and getting a home field like Philadelphia did last year, Philadelphia, could prove something. This is kind of a show me game or a test game to see where the offense and the defense are at and where they're clicking. They can get it going again this week like they did last week. It'll let everybody know in Philly that they are for real. A.J. Brown has been balling out, and Buffalo has struggled against larger wide receivers, and their passing game has not really been clicking much. I'm going to take Philadelphia, and I'd bump that up to getting 3 points. I'd even take it money line because they're plus 110 on the money line. Probably going to be close to plus 100, and I would lean towards the under on that one. If Buffalo loses, their offense is really going to falter. They need this game, and they need it. They won't be knocked out completely, but Buffalo does finish with Miami. So they should be able to make it into the playoffs pretty easy. Buffalo's already locked at the playoff spot at 11-4. So they're not really playing so much for positioning as they are to try to get a home game for the first round and win that division, which they can still do, but it's unlikely that New England is going to lose. Buffalo has the easiest game to finish with. They close out at home with the Jets. These are the last 2 home games that are going to be played at the Ralph. If they don't win the division, they won't have a playoff home game to close it out. So shout out to the fans up there, and hopefully they can, close this one out at Ralph Wilson Stadium, a.k.a. Rich Field, for all of the people back in the day. If you know, you know. Shout out to Rob Johnson and them boys. Chicago at San Francisco. Sunday night football got flexed into that spot. Chicago can win this game and win the division because no team in their division will be able to catch them. They're currently the division leaders at 11-4. Their 12th win of the season will make it impossible for Green Bay to be able to catch them with 2 games to go and only 9 wins. That game last week was huge, and as a Bears fan, I am ecstatic. We have a real quarterback. The wind will not be a factor. They've been playing in freezing cold conditions, and they've been able to get it done. Rome Odunze still has not been able to practice. DJ Moore is healthy. 3 Bears got selected to the Pro Bowl. They just have to figure out their injuries at receiver and see if they can get Rome back. It's unlikely. He still has a foot injury, so I'm not so sure, but hopefully he will play again this season. And by hopefully playing again this season, I assume they mean in the playoffs. I think they're going to try to hold him out for the last 2 weeks now that they've locked up the playoff spot and see what they can do going from there. They're getting 3 points in this one. San Francisco's defense has been excellent, and Caleb's been improving. And the fact that they've been able to run the ball so effectively with 2 separate running backs, one guy, and also DeAndre Swift, he's been super effective. Both similar builds, 5'8", 205, 207, guys in the same kind of range. Short, stocky, quick, one-cut guys. If only they had Roschon Johnson who could get back healthy. I think he's on the IR, so he's not going to be able to come back this season. Maybe he'll be able to come back for the playoffs, but they've been able to get by with the rookie and the vet, and it's been a very effective 1-2 punch. San Francisco also locked up their spot. They'd have to win out to be able to make it to the 1 seed, which seems unlikely, but it's still possible. So both of these teams still have a lot of football left to play for, even though they're guaranteed playoff spots. Next up, we have the Rams at the Atlanta Falcons. Every single team in the NFC is locked up a playoff spot outside of Green Bay and Carolina. The Rams are currently the second wild card at 11-4. The worst they could finish is where they exactly are right now. I don't expect them to lose this game, but I do expect them not to cover. Atlanta's getting 8.5, and I think that's going to be a little bit too much. Although West Coast teams playing in the Eastern time zone usually makes it more effective because they're 3 hours ahead, and they're usually only flying out that Saturday before. And this is a Monday night game, so they'll probably even fly out on Sunday and just sleep overnight, Sunday morning, sleep there, walk through all of that good stuff. Because it's a holiday week, they'll have more time at home. Maybe they'll be a little bit more relaxed. As with Atlanta doesn't really have much to play for. They cannot make the playoffs. They are 6-9 currently on the season, but they still want to get a couple of dubs. Kirk Cousins has been pretty good this year, and the Rams' defense has been pretty suspect. Puka Nacua has been excellent, and Drake London has also been. I'm counting on this to become a shootout, and I just have Atlanta having more offensive weapons than them. Bijan Robinson is going to make it a matchup problem, and with Kirk Cousins and those play-action plays, they should be more effective. I would take the over on this, which is 49.5, and the Bears over under is 51. I would lean towards the under on the Bears one. I expect both of these teams' defenses to be a little bit more locked in for Chicago and San Francisco, going back to the previous game on the over under. But I would bet on a lot of in-game TDs or anytime touchdowns on the Rams in Atlanta. That is it from me this week. And I just want to say shout out to James Madison and shout out to the other G5 team, Tulane, who made it into the playoff. Even though it was a blowout, people don't really like to mention that there were mostly blowouts to most of the 14 playoff and 5-team playoff and 14 playoff and 12-team playoff last year. I'm just happy that I get to watch more, football. It's not their fault that it was designed this way. The ACC stinks, and they destroyed the Pac-12. So they never really thought there would be this many G5 teams in the college football playoff. But I've been enjoying it, and hopefully you guys can take some time off and hang out with your families if they're not out there trying to get y'all to work more hours during the holiday season and during Christmas in general. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa to everybody. Go out and enjoy some time with your families, and if you can, watch some football. And if you want to, listen to my advice. And if not, good luck to you anyway. And on that, we are out. Please like and subscribe. Listen wherever you can. And follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Podcast Addict, Podbean, TuneIn Radio. You could download it through the web. Stream us. Listen to us. We appreciate all the listens we get. Shout out to all the military people who are listening over in Germany. And that is it for us this week. And by us, I mean the royal us. We out.